Hello everyone, and thank you for joining me today. This is Taliesin McKnight, and today's subject is the daily spiritual routine, which I believe to be the center of the work. It is the center and the foundation of everything that we do. So, I think the daily routine, some people may see it as boring, or something that they don't want to focus on. But this really is our work. This is our labor, in a sense. So, I usually make videos about individual practices. Like I'll talk about working with ancestors, or meditation techniques, or whatever else. I usually make videos about individual techniques. Today I felt the need to talk about having a set of daily practices, a routine. So, having a set of daily practices to achieve the great work. The great work being self-transformation, self-change, self-actualization. In Freemasonry, we have the image of a stonemason, a worker, a craftsman, who labors day after day for the construction of the temple. We have the image of the worker. And in Rosicrucianism and in alchemy, we have the image of the alchemist who labors and works in his lab to accomplish the great work and to create the philosopher's stone. So we have a work that is set before us. And I think the image of a carpenter or a stonemason or an alchemist, someone who labors to accomplish, someone who performs the work. I think this is a very apt symbol or image. And again, the great work, so there's something that we need to do. There is a work set before us. There's something to accomplish, something that we need to do. And the end result or goal is the great work, the magnum opus, which is, among other things, partially it's symbolized by taking a rough, imperfect stone and perfecting it by art. Improving it by art into the improved individual or the perfected stone. This represents self-transformation, self-change. So the perfected stone. And again, in alchemy, we also have in alchemy and Rosicrucianism the image of the philosopher's stone. The philosopher's stone, which is capable of changing base metals into gold, or self-transformation. So in both cases, we have the image of a stone, which a stone is something that is solid. It is solid. Okay. We have self-transformation, which involves a death and a rebirth. We have a death and a resurrection of sorts. In alchemy, you go through the nigredo process of decay and death, and then you come into rebirth, self-transformation. You move from darkness into the light. You move from the unconscious into the conscious. So, basically, this is self-transformation, and we have a work before us. So I can't emphasize more the importance of some sort of a set of practices for self-transformation. So today I would just like to go over some suggestions. Something I wanted to add about the stone. Kabbalistically in Hebrew, the word eben includes the word ab, or father, and ben, or son. So father, son, again, self-recreation. But anyways, so whatever set of practices we have are seen to somehow transform the individual. Okay. So these are just suggestions. And I encourage the viewer, I encourage you to come up with your own system, what works for you. And also, I would like to encourage some dialogue. What set of practices do you find useful? What set of practices do you find to be useful? Is there a particular meditation you like? So if you want to go into the comments and share, then that would be great. So today I just wanted to talk about briefly different things, different aspects of this. For one thing, meditation. I'm sure you were all expecting me to mention meditation. That's pretty much what anyone would say. Of course, I would like to go a little deeper. Meditation is... there are different ways to look at meditation. Usually it's interpreted as a focusing of thought, concentration. So it could be focusing on the breath, coming in and out of your nostrils. It could be focusing on your breath. It could be focusing on the center of your forehead, a dot on a piece of paper. It's a focusing of attention. And when your mind begins to wander, you bring your attention right back to your breath or whatever you're focusing on. So meditation is good. It develops willpower, self-discipline, and helps you to learn to develop and focus thought. Meditation is important. And again, there are many different practices for that. There are body meditations. There are so many different techniques out there. But meditation, I think, is central. I think it's indispensable to have some sort of meditation practice. Another thing I'd like to mention is self-awareness. The temple of Apollo at Delphi said, "Know thyself. Nosce te ipsum." Know thyself. This is very important. For one thing, self-observation is key. Self-knowledge. I mean, at its most mundane level, understanding, analyzing your own thoughts and emotions, your fears, your desires, understanding what you want out of life. This is important. Self-awareness. Some would say that even though we feel that we're awake all the time, some would say that man is generally in a waking sleep of sorts. Many of us seem to go through life somewhat unconsciously. We're always focused in the past or daydreaming about the future. Very few of us are self-aware. Okay. Taking some time each day to objectively observe yourself and the environment that you're in. Sometimes we can't see the forest for the trees. A diary is good for this, to, write down your thoughts, your emotions, your goals, your fears, to have some sort of self-knowledge. Okay. Dream analysis, writing down your dreams is important. This is something that I do every day. I write down my dreams. And part of this has to do with understanding my own unconscious. Okay, bringing unconscious material to the surface, which is a whole other subject. I did make a video on the dream journal, and I went into depth about bringing unconscious material to the surface, which is moving that material, that aspect of self, capital S, from the darkness and into the light, ex tenebris in lucem, moving those aspects of self from the darkness of unconsciousness and into the light, which in the path of the sun, I often go into the symbolism of the wheel of fortune, the wheel of the year, crossing the celestial equator. And of course, I usually come from a northern hemisphere standpoint. For those in the southern hemisphere, I apologize. It's just my natural impulse of moving from unconsciousness into consciousness. So becoming conscious, becoming aware, moving out of sleep and into waking up in the morning to be aware. So dream journaling, self-observation, things like that are very key. Understanding yourself. I would like to add to that, my personal opinion, it's important to engage in life, because life in general is a school. It is a testing ground. Moving through the trials and tribulations of life is, moving through fire. It is a trial by fire, in a sense. It does remove the things that are gross, and improves the things that are subtle. I don't think that really came out right, but in other words, I'm saying it can be seen as an alchemical process of sorts. You have two different approaches. Some approaches to mysticism is more withdrawal from life, the contemplative in a monastery, and some more engage in life. So, and I apologize about the lighting and everything. Obviously, I don't have my usual setup with the lights and all of that, but I'll be going back to that. Energy work. Again, I always encourage skepticism, whether you really believe in chakras and auras and all that. I know most of you probably do, but I encourage the viewer to question everything. If you believe in that sort, or if not, I still think energy work is important. It's central to what I do. I do the middle pillar and banishing and invoking rituals on a daily basis. I do that. Working with chakras. So, meditation, self-awareness, in my opinion, engaging in life is good. And energy work. Self-development, will. And one more thing I'd like to talk a little bit about is the will. Will is often interpreted as a want, a desire, volition. It's my will to do this. But will is much more than that. It also has to do with self-mastery. Struggling with the self. And you see this in mythology. Jacob wrestling with the angel, Cain and Abel. Anytime you see two brothers wrestling, an inner struggle, the strife of contending forces. Willpower, concentration, self-development. It's self-conscious evolution, okay? It's about man perfecting himself by art. So, I try to, I talk about different beliefs, different opinions, but I try not to enforce any one dogma. So I may talk about the Qabalah, or I'll talk about yoga, or Buddhism, or whatever, when I talk about those subjects. But something like this, I try to remain dogma-free. So, there's so many things I could go into with that. But basically, free of all dogma or whatever, your daily routine, your daily work, it may seem boring or really mundane, but this is the work. This is our labor. Again, if you think of a carpenter or a master craftsman, this is our work. So don't be discouraged. Enjoy the work, and practice for self-mastery, self-change, self-transformation. So, like I said, usually I talk about different beliefs or dogmas. I'll talk about Qabalah or alchemy or whatever, and I'll talk about different practices. Today, I wanted to go into the importance of having a set of practices. And you can start out simple. You don't have to have anything elaborate or complex. Meditate every day. Incorporate some practices. So, ending this video, I would like to encourage my viewers in the comments, what do you find to be useful? What is there a set of practices that you have found useful in your practice? What do you think on this?